Hello guys, myself Shraddha Gajjar and I am going to teach you about the digestive system, in that the stomach, the anatomy and physiology of the stomach. Now we will see the introduction of the stomach. The human stomach is a muscular, elastic and pear-shaped bag lying crosswise in the abdominal cavity beneath the diaphragm. Okay, stomach is a muscular and elastic pear-shaped bag which is a crosswise lying in the abdominal cavity beneath the diaphragm. Now it is capable of gross alteration in size and shape depending on the position of the body as well as the amount of the food inside. Okay, the amount of the food inside, the size will be vary. It is temporarily store and mix the food, that is the reservoir of the food. Now the location of the stomach, you can see in the figure, it is located between the esophagus and the small intestine. It is located on the left side of the abdominal cavity and in the epigastric, umbilical and the left hypochondriac region of the abdomen. Now the shape of the stomach, that is the J shape. Okay. What about the size? That is the 12-inch long, or we can say 30.5 centimeter long and 6-inch width. So this is all about the size. Now we will see the relation of the stomach. Anteriorly, that is the left lobe of the liver, anterior abdominal wall. What about posterior relation? That is the abdominal aorta, pancreas, spleen, left kidney and adrenal gland. Superiorly, there is the diaphragm, esophagus and left lobe of liver. Inferiorly, there is a transverse colon and the small intestine. Left side, there is a diaphragm and spleen, and in right side, liver and duodenum. So these all are the relation of the stomach. Now we will see the parts of the stomach. There is three major parts, that is the fundus, body and pylorus. You can see in the figure it is depicted with the colors. That is the upper part, that is the fundus, middle part, that is the body and lower part, that is the pylorus. Pylorus, it is in funnel shape and it is a terminal end. Food empties into the small intestine at the pyloric sphincter. Okay. So these are the three parts. Now stomach has two curvature. You can see in figure, lesser curvature and greater curvature. Okay. Now stomach having two opening. First one is a cardiac opening, second one is a pyloric opening. Cardiac opening that attach to the esophagus and pyloric opening that attach to the small intestine. Okay, it has two opening, or we can say two sphincters, that is the cardiac sphincter and the pyloric sphincters. Now two omentum are there. First one is a lesser omentum and second one is a greater omentum. Lesser omentum that attach to the liver to the lesser curvature. Okay, and greater omentum that attach the greater curvature to the transverse colon, which contain fat to insulate, cushion and protect the abdominal organ. Okay, so these are the two omentum, lesser omentum and greater omentum. Now we will see the walls of the stomach. It is same as the whole GI system. First one is a mucous membrane, that is the inner layer, then the submucous layer, then muscular layer and the serous layer. Now we will see first that is the mucus layer. That is the inner layer. Okay, it has the longitudinal folds or rugae. Okay, in the inner side of the stomach there is the mucous membrane. In the mucous membrane there is the longitudinal folds, or we can say the rugae. When full, the rugae are ironed out, giving the surface that is the smooth and shiny and the velvety appearance. Okay. Second is a submucous membrane which contain the vessels. Third one is a muscular layer which contain the middle muscles. Then the serous layer, that is the outer covering, that is the shiny, and it gives the protection to the inner organ. So these are the walls of the stomach. Now the muscle layers. First you can see in the figure there is three layers: outer layer, middle layer and the inner layer. You can see in outer layer there is the longitudinal fibers, in the middle layer there is the circular fibers, and in the inner layer there is the oblique fibers. So these are the three muscle layers. The glands of the stomach. First one is a fundus gland, second is a cardiac gland, and third is a pyloric gland. Fundus gland in the fundus area. That is it has the tube shaped, and pepsin and mucin are secreted through the fundus gland. Then the cardiac gland. It is near to the esophagus opening, or we can say the near to the cardiac sphincter, and it secretes the mucus. Then the pyloric gland. It is near to the pyloric portion, or we can say the near to the pyloric sphincter, and which secrete the mucus secretion. So this is all about the gland. Now the blood supply of the stomach. Which are the arterial blood supply? That is the left gastric artery, branch of the coeliac artery, right gastric artery, and gastroepiploic artery. So these are the arterial blood supply. Now what about the venous drainage? That is the right gastric vein and left gastric vein. The nerve supply, that is the celiac ganglia and the vagus nerve. What about the lymph? That is the celiac lymph node. Okay, so these all about the blood supply of the stomach. Now we will see the function of the stomach. The first function, that is the reservoir of the food, that you all know very well. First function, that act as a storage tank for the food. Okay, it is a reservoir tank of the food. Second is a site of the food breakdown and mixing. Okay, there is the breakdown of the food and the mixing of the food. Then the chemical breakdown of the protein begins, and next, that is it delivers the chyme, that is the processed food, okay, to the small intestine. So these are the function of the stomach. Specialized mucosa of the stomach, that is the simple columnar epithelium. It is made up of the simple columnar epithelium. You can see in the figure there are the some cells in the mucosal layer of the stomach. First one is a mucus snake cell, which produce a sticky alkaline mucus into the stomach. Then the gastric gland that secrete the gastric juice. Okay. Then the chief cells that produce the protein and protein digesting enzyme and eat, that is the pepsinogens. Then the parietal cells that produce the hydrochloric acids and intrinsic factor, that is helpful for the B12, vitamin B12 absorption. Then the endocrine cell, or we can say that is the G cell, which produce the gastrin. Okay, and gastrin is very helpful, which is stimulate both parietal and chief cells. So this is all about the cells that are available into the that is available into the mucosa of the stomach. Now we will see the structure of the stomach mucosa. There is a gastric pit which is formed by the folded mucosa. Okay, there is a gastric pit which is folded by the mucosa. The glands and specialized cells are in the gastric gland region. Okay. Now we will see the gastric juice. About 2 liters of the gastric juice are secreted daily in the stomach that contain the water, mineral salt, mucus, hydrochloric acid, then the intrinsic factor and the inactive enzyme, that is the pepsinogens. So this is all about the contents of the gastric juice. Now the function of the gastric juice. Water further liquefies the food. Hydrochloric acid, it is very helpful to acidify the foods and stop the action of the salivary amylase. It kills the ingested microorganisms. It also provides the acid environment which is helpful for the effective digestion by the pepsins. Okay, now the pepsinogens are the activated to pepsins. This enzyme begin the digestion of the protein and there will be a breakdown into the smaller molecules. The pepsin act most effectively at a very low pH, that between the 1.5 to 3.5. The intrinsic factor, or we can say a protein, it is very necessary and useful for the absorption of the vitamin B12 from the ileum. Okay, absorption of the vitamin B12 is occur only in the ileum, in the small intestine, not in the stomach. Mucus prevents mechanical injury to the stomach wall by lubricating the content. Also, it prevents the chemical injury by acting as a barrier between the stomach wall and the corrosive gastric juice or gastric acid. So, this is all about the function and usefulness of the gastric juice. Now, the secretion of gastric juice. There is always a small quantity of the gastric juice present in the stomach, even when it contains no food. That is known as the fasting juice. If we cannot, if stomach will be empty, then there will be some amount of the juice, gastric juice will be present into the stomach, and this juice is called as a fasting juice. The secretion reaches its maximum level about 1 hour after a meal. Then it will gradually decline to the fast level after the 4 hours. Now there are the 3 phases of the secretion of the gastric juice. First one is a cephalic phase, second is a gastric phase, and third one is a intestinal phase. Okay, 3 phases of the secretion of gastric juice into the stomach: cephalic, gastric, and intestinal. We will see in the next slide in detail. The first phase, that is the cephalic phase. Cephalic phase, in that there will be a vagus nerve stimulation. It stimulates the gastric juice when we smell, taste, or see the food. So this is all about the cephalic phase. So this is a flow of juice occur before the food reaches the stomach, and it is occur due to the vagus nerve stimulation done by the sight, smell, or taste of food. When the vagus nerve have been cut down, or we can say that procedure, that is the vagotomy, in this phase the gastric secretion will be stopped. The sympathetic stimulation, for example during the emotional state, also inhibit the gastric activity. If our emotional status, or we are upset or sad, at that time these vagus nerve will never stimulate due to the stress. So there will be no gastric juice activity. So this is all about the cephalic phase. The second phase, that is the gastric phase. When stimulated by the presence of the food, the enteroendocrine cells in the pylorus and the duodenum that secrete the gastrin. It is the hormone which passes directly into the circulating blood. Okay, when the food will be entered into the stomach and in the pylorus area and the duodenum, then there will be a secretion of the gastrin, and gastrin will directly pass into the blood. The gastrin, it is a circulating in the blood and which supply the stomach and stimulate the gastric gland to produce more gastric juice. In this way, the secretion of the digestive juice, it is continued after the completion of a meal and at the end of the cephalic phase. The gastric secretion is suppressed when the pH in the pylorus falls to about 1.5. Okay, when gastrin will stop at the in the pylorus, there will be a pH level falls to about 1.5. So this is all about the gastric phase. Okay. Now in the third phase, that is the intestinal phase. The intestinal phase, in that the food will enter into the intestine and there will be two hormones will active, that is the secretin and cholecystokinin, that are produced by the endocrine cells in the intestinal mucosa. There will be, due to the secretin, there will be the slowdown of the gastric juice secretion, as well as it also reduce the gastric motility. Then the stomach will be emptied and it will mixed with the bile and the pancreatic juice in the duodenum. This phase of the gastric secretion is mostly mild following a meal with a high fat content. Okay, the rate at which stomach empties depends on the type of the food which you have eaten. In the carbohydrate meal, they lives in the stomach, that is 2 to 3 hours. Protein meal remains longer than the carbohydrate, and fatty meal remains in the stomach, that is the longest hour. So this is all about the intestinal phase. So this is all about the anatomy and physiology of the stomach. If you have any problem, if you have any query, you can ask me, and thank you. Hello guys, I have made video for you. This is the educational video as a part of anatomy and physiology. If you like my video, then please subscribe my channel and like the video. Thank you.